Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had a viewer post a comment, so I'll flip in here for you guys, and he's basically saying, look Jason, you're wrong about your analogy in antibiotics. That the only way that you can die of an infection is if your body runs out of vitamin C, so you need to eat fruit instead of meat. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about these sort of crazy ass fucking insane comments that people come and make. And just for a backstory, guys, this was me talking about the whole idea of problems with the naturalistic fallacy and stuff, and people understanding that just because something might be a natural diet doesn't mean automatically that it's the best diet for a human. And I was explaining that natural is not always better, that antibiotics are not natural. They cause you to survive things that humans are supposed to die from, such as massive infections. When you get a massive infection in your body, there's at least a 50% chance it's supposed to kill you, if not an 80 to 90% chance. Antibiotics cause you to live longer than you're supposed to, and they're very unnatural. So, and thank God for them. Well, or the scientists that invented them. All right, that being said, I get people who come in here and they say things like this, and vegans and hippies are some of the worst about this. I used to think the bros were the worst, the bodybuilding bros with the shit that they would say, and then I get stuff like this all the time that I have to see, and I've been working really, really hard on trying to be a lot less condescending lately in my videos. I work on it. I try to be more positive, less condescending, because I feel it gives a better overall message, and then I see shit like this. And, you've got to just be dumbfounded by it because, as I've said before, if vegans choose to have their own ethical stance, I'm totally cool with that. You know what? It's not my place to tell you what your personal ethics are. And if you're doing something that you personally feel is going to make the world a better place, that you feel morally good about, that isn't causing any harm, who am I to tell you to not do it? It's not my place to tell you that. And I would say carry on. Does it make you feel better as a person to do something? All right then, if you're doing veganism for ethical reasons and you feel like a better person for it, then carry on. Don't let me or anyone else stop you from doing what you feel is right in your heart. All right? That's part of free will and living in a free society, is the right for you to decide what's right for your life and to follow it. And that includes veganism. Now, that being said, what I can't stand are when the vegans come in and they make up stuff. They just make up medical facts without research, without data, or insanely cherry-picked data. And I'm not saying all vegans do this. I've met some vegans who are very, very knowledgeable on human physiology, nutrition, everything else. All right, so I'm not talking about them. If you're one of those and you've studied nutrition heavily and you understand these things, then I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people who come in and say insane shit like this. And it's always stuff like this. The only way you die of an infection is if you run out of vitamin C. You guys have to understand that that's fucking insane. You can be taking enormous amounts of vitamin C, have high blood serum levels of vitamin C when they pull your blood work, and a massive infection will still kill you. Particularly if you don't get antibiotics and your body starts going septic, no amount of vitamin C in the world will save you. And in fact, it's not even really that big of a factor. Vitamin C intake has been a little overhyped, guys. Just saying, it's been overhyped. In fact, it's probably not even a good idea to supplement it if you're an athlete at all, by the way. Excessive vitamin C has been found to reduce training response. And I don't just mean to weightlifting, I'm talking even to cardio. So probably not ideal to be mega dosing vitamin C anyways. Definitely not supplementing it. Now, that being said, I think people would be fine to consume large amounts of vitamin C rich foods. No problem there. Broccoli, oranges, all of those things. In fact, broccoli and spinach are very, very high in vitamin C. And they're fantastic for you. I'm pro-vegetable. I think vegetables are great for you. Most people should probably eat more of them. When a vegan says that, they come in and say, well, most people could stand to eat more vegetables. We're in perfect agreement. No argument there. You're right on the money. Most people could stand to eat a bit more broccoli and spinach. Great idea. But they don't have to give up meat to do that. It's not necessary. Not at all. And the problem is that, again, when they come in and they have these weird ideas that veganism is somehow more healthy than balanced diets, where's your evidence for that? Do vegans somehow live longer than omnivores who have a balanced diet? I've not seen any studies for it. In fact, I can't find any studies at all, really, with any significant fact checking, anything that's been looked at closely that even suggests that vegans are more healthy or live longer or have lower rates of disease than the general population in most countries if they're in the same society. Vegans don't even seem to live longer than people who eat McDonald's in the United States. The vegans who live here. So where are they coming up with these ideas? It's just not based on reality. And it's just frustrating when they come in and they just make up their facts. Because I feel like I see vegans say things oftentimes who are trying to get people to follow their diet, and they just flat lie and they make up things as they go. They literally make up crazy stuff off the fly that sometimes is known to be the exact opposite based upon research. That is animal proteins causing cancer. I'm aware of Dr. Campbell's research, and there's a reason it didn't go much further than it did. All right, he studied one type of protein, one specific type of protein in rats, not in humans, and he didn't study all various types of animal proteins. He studied one specific type, casein. When that's all the data that you have as a rat study, you can't call that even remotely close to being a scientific fact. That's not how science works. Definitely not how nutrition science works. If that's the case, if that is the case, that if you can take a single rodent study and apply it to humans, then everyone should be grabbing Dr. Norton's research and should all be taking 6 or 7 doses of leucine a day. If that's how we're going to work science. But that's not how it works. And, it's all sorts of crazy claims like that. I always see it. This will just cure cancer. There are times when consuming a lower calorie, higher nutrient diet can help with cancer. No argument there. But it's not because it's a vegan diet that did it. It's because you're consuming a diet lower probably in overall carbs, high in fiber, and low in calories. Yeah, if someone's eating nothing but raw plants, they might only be eating 1,000 or 1,200 calories a day. Fasting has been shown in some cases to help with cancer. Ketogenic diets help with cancer based upon the same principle, less circulating insulin. But a ketogenic diet is the exact opposite. It's like all cooked meat, all cooked fatty meat. It gives us a similar effect. Because it's not the vegan aspect of it that works. It's the lower circulating insulin and IGF-1 for someone who is already suffering from tumors. Doesn't mean it's going to prevent tumors. Then they say other crazy things. I've seen vegan YouTubers try to claim that consuming excess protein makes you fat. Look how fucking crazy that is. Stop and think about that. What studies have we seen on protein intake and body composition? Repeatedly, what do we find? People who consume more protein on the same diet, in the same workout, even just particularly middle-aged people, everyone else, they tend to have better body composition. What do we know from biology regarding human nutrition and protein? They'll say, extra protein gets stored as fat. Has anyone ever found that to happen in a single study? The pathway through which protein in the body could be stored as fat, yeah, it's theoretically possible, but the odds of it happening are lower than being struck by lightning. The odds of you as a human being ever storing any protein that you consume as fat is actually like 1,000 to 1. Any point in your life, like protein that you eat one day somewhere in your life that's going to get stored as fat is like 1,000 to 1 that will happen to you one day. And you'll gain 1/10 of a gram of fat on your body from your protein. The reason for it is carbohydrates in humans are very rarely stored as fat. Under normal conditions, without chronic overeating involved, humans store almost no carbohydrates they eat as fat, right? What happens to excess protein that you eat? Your liver cleaves the nitrogen off of it and converts it into glucose, which is carbohydrates. All right, it converts it into carbohydrates, any excess protein that you consume. It also burns extra calories doing so. It's a metabolically inefficient process. So the process itself automatically assumes you're probably going to gain less fat than had you over consumed the same calories from carbs. But even then, a single day of carb overfeeding doesn't put fat on people either. They'll store more of the fat that they eat, but they don't store the carbohydrates. So people are telling me that a metabolically inexpensive process that converts excess protein into carbohydrates, because it doesn't store it as fat, that you pee the nitrogen out. When you take the nitrogen off, protein is basically, amino acids, basically your other constituents of it require them to turn into glucose if you're going to turn them into something that is energy holding and has caloric value. And you urinate the nitrogen out, but it's metabolically expensive to convert protein into carbs. That's why it sucks as a fuel source. That's why we say protein loading doesn't work for athletes if they're not getting enough carbs. They still don't get enough muscle glycogen. So it's metabolically inexpensive, and then it turns it into carbs. And carbs are very rarely stored as fat in humans. So in what world are these people getting these ideas that extra protein is stored as fat? They're just making it up as they go along just to convince people to become vegans. And, that's the problem with all of this. This hippie science is complete bullshit. And it's so frustrating when you're trying to put out good information and help people and doing the best that you can to provide the best information that you can, keeping up with the current research to hopefully help people get better information and not even change what I say. If the data becomes overwhelming, showing me wrong, I've changed my stance a couple times publicly, several times now. Based upon meta-analysis and stuff, I've had to say, okay, maybe I was wrong. And I work so hard at doing that, and then I have to see these vegans and these hippies come in with their crazy-ass hippie science and post it like it's based in reality. And it's fucking not. They just make this shit up as they go. Oh, you die of an infection only when you run out of vitamin C. Bullshit. Oh, extra protein can be stored will be stored as body fat. Fucking bullshit. There's no scientific or biological basis for either one of those statements. They just make this stuff up. And then they want you to believe. When you can go look this stuff up yourself to see if they're telling the truth, and you find out they're just telling fucking lies that are easily disprovable with a basic nutritional science textbook, that they're just making it up, and then you're supposed to believe when they tell you, oh, vegan diets are healthier for you. They can't even prove that. And that's the problem. That's the real problem, that you have people who are taking something that's an ethical choice, it's a lifestyle choice, it's an ethical stance they choose to make, right? And I can respect that fact. But then they come over and they're willing to lie their asses off about the data and the science over and over and over, and then we're supposed to believe that they have good ethics. Clearly they fucking don't, the ones who are making this stuff up. Other than their ethics of they believe that the ends justify the means, and that's the case too. And I've heard a vegan say that they were willing to lie to save the lives of animals, that they would lie or make up whatever they had to make up in order to convince people to not eat meat to save the suffering animals, that the ends justify the means. And I have heard one admit that. And that's a lot of what you see here. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.